Well, we are now down to the third part of the heavy melee overhaul series. As we continue from the part 2 video, in this video we will change the stats of the two most underused melee weapon in the Heavy's arsenal. These weapons are the Eviction Notice and the Warrior Spirit. Let's start with the meme weapon, and which is the the Eviction Notice. This weapon is far too useless for any uses. It has a horrible damage and a worthless buff, which the stats are plus 40% faster firing speed on hit, gain a speed boost, plus 15% faster move speed on wearer, minus 60% damage penalty, maximum health is drained while item is active. The weapon is not good for combat nor for defending. It's downright useless, but this weapon is being praised by the meme lords, which is a good reference of the show JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Just to be clear, why is the fists has a higher damage than a brass knuckles? But hear me out, I want the weapon to stick to its original purpose, which is an offensive weapon. So the new Eviction Notice stats will be Alt Fire, surge forward to deliver a deadly punch to the enemy. On impact, bash the enemy with a heavy punch that deals damage and knockback. Note, this weapon will have a charge meter, similar to the charge and targe, but this meter will fill itself slowly, and can fill it faster when you are being damaged, and before you can charge forward, you still need to charge your fist, and it will only takes 1 second. And surging will last for only 3 seconds. Oh, and surge speed will be similar to the babyface blaster's full boost speed, which is 175%. Plus 50% damage from a charging punch, which it can deal 97 damage to the enemy. No blocking. 25% slower swing rate, miss on charge, minus 40% move speed for 3 seconds. Note, the slower move speed will only last for 3 seconds, just to avoid being used as a fast rollout. With this stats, the weapon will be used to deal a large damage to a single target. The heavy can charge towards the enemy and delivers a powerful punch which deals 97 pure damage to the enemy with a knockback, but it cannot block, which is a huge downside, and it has a slower firing speed which it takes 1 second, as well as a slow movement speed if you miss a hit from a charge. Overall, it is now usable for offensive attacks or picking a light target. The weapon can now charge forward, which can deal massive damage and knockback, and you can use the shotgun to quickly damage the target. However, it cannot block an attack. It has a slower swing speed, and each miss from a charge will slow the player down as punishment. Now the next weapon to be rebalances the Warrior's Spirit. This weapon is really useless. I mean really useless. The Eviction Notice is not as bad compared to this weapon. Despite its uselessness, it is supposedly an offensive weapon, which is similar to the Eviction Notice. Here are the stats of this godforsaken weapon. When weapon is active, plus 30% damage bonus, plus 50 health restored on kill, 30% damage vulnerability on wearer. Okay, why is it useless? You know heavy is slow and big, which makes you a bullet sponge, and this downside makes it one of the most useless weapon in the game. 30% damage vulnerability makes it impossible to use in direct combat even with the bonus damage. Even you managed to flank. What's the point? You had a minigun to shoot people with. So how can we rebalance this weapon, you may ask? Similar to the Eviction Notice, I want the weapon to be used as an offensive weapon, but I'm not saying that we will copy the Eviction Notice new stats. No, I want it to reference the actual bear. When they are not being endangered or being attacked, they will walk calmly, and if they are being attacked, they turn aggressive. To implement this idea to the warrior's spirit, new stats will be: All Fire performs a blocking stance applying damage resistance to all ranged damage, and 100% damage resistance to melee damage in front. When weapon is active, on hit, cause bleeding. Being damage will give the heavy speed boost. Note, once being damage from the enemy, while you are using this weapon, you will have speed boost for 2 seconds, and if you are still being damaged while under the speed boost effect, the speed boost will reset. 20% movement speed. If away from combat, note, if you are using this weapon and you are not in combat, for 2 seconds you will be slowed down, but when blocking your movement speed will be 40%, and it will not add up. 40% damage resistance when blocking on front. 40% slower move speed when blocking. Minus 60% health from healers when blocking. With the new stats, the weapon will be a good offensive weapon, or an escaping tool for the heavy. You are able to charge into battle. If you are being damaged, with the bleeding you can deal massive damage, and you will have 40% damage resistance. However, you will be really slow if you are not being attacked, and had less health from healers as well, a 40% slower move speed when blocking, to avoid a safe and quick escape. Overall, the weapon will be good for offense, and useful for escaping in harm's way. Once the weapon is deployed, while being damaged you will gain speed boost for 2 seconds, can cause bleeding on hit, and had a good damage resistance. However, while away for combat, you will be slowed down, and you receive less health from healers and really slow movement speed when blocking. With this balance, the weapons will now be useful in offensive manner, and all the weapons do not have a random crit. But even with this balance, the weapons are far more weaker than the miniguns, which is way better in offense and defense. But the weapons are designed for an offensive weapon, and not for supporting like the Fists of Steel and the Gru. In the next video will be my last in the heavy overhaul video, and I will return to the old rebalancing ideas. And that's all for now. Thank you for watching this video and goodbye.